If we're being honest with ourselves, most of us go to the doctors only when there's a problem. A solid night rest can impact everything from mental clarity to your immune function to your metabolism. And just some gentle detox therapies to start opening up some of these drainage pathways. Her energy came back, her symptoms started to decrease, and she started to feel like herself again. Welcome to the Freedom Health Show. I'm Dr. Matt, and if you are here today, I imagine you are someone who is tired of being sidelined when it comes to your health. Maybe you're frustrated with the usual path of endless doctor visits, prescriptions, and dealing with one issue after another. Well, you might be wondering, is there a better way to start controlling your health or get control of your health? Today, I'm going to explore that question and the idea of going beyond simply just managing disease to actually managing your health. But before we dive in, let me ask you, have you ever thought about how much of healthcare actually focuses on reacting to the problem versus preventing them? So why are we so quick to treating symptoms, but slow to address the root cause? Let's unpack this together because I think it's really important that we start to shift our mindset and start to think a little bit differently. So think about the last time you visited your doctor. Was it because you felt great and just wanted to keep feeling great? Or was it because something was actually wrong? If we're being honest with ourselves, most of us go to the doctors only when there's a problem. And the doctor's job is to often fix that immediate issue, whether it's pain, discomfort, or some other symptom, right? Now, don't get me wrong. This kind of care can be vital, especially in an emergency situation. But outside of that, we're often just putting a Band-Aid over the deeper issues. It's like dealing with the check engine light in your car by just resetting it rather than investigating why it turned on in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong. This kind of care is vital in emergencies, right? But outside of that, we're often just putting a Band-Aid over deeper issues. It's like dealing with the check engine light on your car by just resetting it rather than investigating why it actually turned on in the first place. See, the car's going to run for a while, but eventually that underlying problem will resurface and probably be worse than before. So why do we handle our health this way? Maybe it's because for decades, the healthcare industry has conditioned us to think that health means the absence of disease, not the presence of wellness. The problem is, if you're only focused on not being sick, you're not truly well. You're just one step away from a problem. So let me ask you, do you want to just be right on the edge of not being sick? Or do you want to really thrive with your health and function at your highest level? This is why today's episode is all about shifting from disease management to health management. The question we should be asking ourselves is this: how do we stay well and prevent disease in the first place? This might feel like a new way of thinking for some of you, but honestly, our system, it isn't set up to support this. So it's no surprise why people think about only managing disease. The reality is, there's no profit in health. If you're truly well, the only profit comes when you're sick or you need help. All right, so let's dig into this idea of proactive health. So what does this mean to manage your health proactively rather than reactively? Think about other areas of your life, such as your finances, for instance. We don't wait until we're broke to start saving money, right? We plan ahead. And yet, when it comes to our health, it seems like we just wait until there's a crisis before we act. See, proactive health is all about building a strong foundation through regular daily habits of nutrition, exercise, rest, stress management. All of those things we hear about, but we often neglect. The reality is, I think we're all looking to continue to hit this next level of health, when some of you guys are already at a fairly high level of health, but you got to keep doing the same old boring things over and over and over and over again. If you look at Warren Buffett, and when he talks about how to become a billionaire like him, it's doing the same thing over and over again and just staying consistent with it, right? Well, what if we did that with our health and we did it consistently over time? And we're still going to have some ups, we're going to have some downs, but over a long period of time, you're going to see the gains, just like you would with your finances if you just continue to put it away over time. So it's all about making these better choices for our body, but staying consistent with it so that we can continue to maintain this balance over time. So, for example, have you ever noticed how much of a difference something as simple as a good night's sleep makes? A solid night rest can impact everything from mental clarity to your immune function to your metabolism. Yet in a busy world, sleep is often the thing that takes the back seat, isn't it? But here's the thing. When you prioritize yourself and you prioritize your health with the basic building blocks like sleep, like whole food, vitamin, nutrition, going out for a walk, just getting out in the sun, it's doing the consistent things over and over and again, this is where we find our patients get the best results, okay? Now, yeah, if you've got some health challenge going on, it may look different than somebody else that doesn't have a serious health condition. You might have to do a lot more, okay? But it's still doing the same thing over and over again that builds upon itself. And let me tell you, I've seen this work wonders with all of my patients. You start with the building blocks, and then you can get into more intense healthcare changes or lifestyle changes as you need it. I once had a patient come in, busy professional, kept coming in with digestive issues, low energy, stress-related headaches, and we could have given her medications or just started treating symptoms with certain supplements. But instead, we focused on simple lifestyle changes like adjusting what she was having for lunch, cutting out some of the sugars she was having, and then having her take 15 to 30 minutes a day just to meditate, relax, and try to reduce that stress. Then in a few months, we saw a complete turnaround in her with her energy improving, digestive system started to get better, and the headaches were gone. She wasn't just managing symptoms anymore, but what she was doing was she was managing health. I have patients come into me all the time. They're like, oh, my blood sugar's managed. Really, how are you managing it? Oh, I take metformin, I take insulin, I take glimepiride, I use Ozempic, right? Or we'll hear it with cholesterol or high blood pressure. Here's the thing is, you're not managing anything when you're taking those. What's happening is the medications are managing it, and they're the ones actually doing the work, not you. So think about it just for a second. If we could empower you a little bit more to address a root cause of the problem rather than chasing symptoms, what if we could start to get everybody to do this and change this approach to health all the way across the board and be more proactive than reactive? Well, one of the first things we can focus on is diet, because food is a huge part of being proactive with your health. Have you ever considered how much our modern diet is made up of processed foods, sugar, and additives? I mean, I'm super excited for RFK to get into the government and start getting rid of this crap that's in our foods, right? Because studies have shown that our diets are highly processed, and it's directly linked to these conditions like diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. Yet these foods are so common in our daily lives. In fact, many of you don't even know the stuff that's in these foods because they're just put in there. And I'm hoping that we see this change in the next 4 or 5 years as we start to get these regulations to get these chemicals out of food so people can start healing again and get rid of this chronic disease process. One of the articles I came across on Healthline actually breaks down the sugar and processed food and how it impacts your long-term health. And it's not shocking, okay? All the research is laid out there for us, but one of the simple things we can do is just lower our sugar and cut down the processed foods, and it can make a dramatic increase on our risk for chronic disease. But here's the thing. When you're busy, when your kids need to get someplace, you get home, you're running around, I get it. It is easy to just grab something and go. And we forget to take that extra second to start taking care of ourselves, right? And sometimes it's impossible. And this is where whole food vitamins will come into play, and you can use those to help to supplement the deficiencies that you're getting. But long term, we want to get rid of these processed foods because this is what's creating the chronic illness that we have today. So for example, if we just look at high sugar intake, when we eat lots of sugar, it causes the blood sugar spike, but then it leads to this crash, leaving us feeling tired, craving more sugar. And it's a cycle that just continues to go because your energy is low. So we eat some more sugar or have some more caffeine for that matter. This strains our metabolism and our immune system over time, so things get lower and lower and lower. So you can imagine you do this for years and where you're going to be at. So when it really comes down to it, we got to get back to the basics. And if we were to look at what the very foundational basics are going to be, it's changing our diet, it's getting those whole foods into our body, okay? Making sure we're eating organics, reducing the chemicals, reducing the toxins, and you're going to start to move in the right direction. One of my patients, for instance, they were struggling with joint pain and fatigue for years. And we literally came in, we looked at her diet, we started reducing sugars, adding more vegetables, whole foods. We cut out some grains that were affecting her body and creating this inflammation. And her pain started to ease, okay? And her energy started to return. But once we got that moving in the right direction a little bit, then we could take the next step to advance her with her health, okay? And now that she was seeing a little bit of changes, and by just making these simple things, we could then get a little bit more intense, a little bit more complicated. So you guys have to realize, we're feeding our bodies, and what we feed our bodies is creating this disease process. And so we just changed it, and she began to heal on the inside. So here's where we're at. Our bodies have the ability to heal, but the reality is we're interfering with that. And we're interfering it with toxins, chemicals, our poor food choices, and lifestyle. So we just have to reevaluate ourselves, reevaluate our lifestyle, our body, what we're doing, because it can repair, it can restore itself, it can grow if you give it an opportunity to. But most of us are so caught in this world of relying on medications for every issue that we have going on. And it could be that your body just needs the right support. And if we can start getting that support, and we can start you getting to adopt a more natural, supportive approach for your health, eliminate some of these medications that are oftentimes creating other issues, we're going to have a whole different state of mind for people. We're going to have a whole different community. We're going to start to have a body that is healing and staying well balanced. So one of the stories that always sticks with me is a patient. She came in, she was dealing with chronic fatigue and inflammation, and she'd been taking medication, and her doctors and they tried everything, okay? And so she was fed up. I mean, there's not a week that goes by that I don't have a patient that is fed up with our current health model that we have and that are looking for other options. And they've tried to find these options with their doctor, but their doctors are trained on medication, and they're not trained the way chiropractors or naturopaths or other functional medicine providers are trained. So what we started working on is getting nutrient-rich foods into her body. But her gut was so messed up that she wasn't absorbing very well. So we used IV nutrition and just some gentle detox therapies to start opening up some of these drainage pathways. Her energy came back, her symptoms started to decrease, and she started to feel like herself again, okay? Her primary care doctor was shocked, actually, because she didn't need the medication, and they had struggled for so many years to get her kind of moving in the right direction, and all they needed to do was put her body in the right environment. So as I wrap up today, I want to challenge you. Are you managing disease, or are you managing your health? Imagine if you could start to manage your health, have less health problems. Yes, it's going to be boring, right? Because sometimes I think some people, quite honestly, they thrive on how many symptoms they have. They thrive on how many pills they take. They thrive on how much disease they actually have. And I see this a lot of times. They're proud to talk about it, right? And when you don't have these things, what are you supposed to talk about? Well, now we can start talking about all the things we love to do. And we can start doing all the things we love to do. But it takes a small step for you to start taking the right path to get down. So maybe you choose whole food over processed foods. Maybe it's getting to bed an hour earlier. Maybe it's taking a moment to de-stress. It's the small changes that add up and get you moving in the right direction. So this is the Freedom Health Show. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep exploring it. There's ways to move beyond disease management and towards true health. Hey, sign up for our emails on our website at LifeWorksKC.com. We're sending out emails regularly for upcoming podcasts. And if you're just excited to start learning more and listening to a different perspective, check us out. You can get supplements on our website now. We just got a lot of cool stuff that's going to be coming out. So the more you engage, the healthier you become, and the better you're going to be long term. So we'll see you next time.